to another episode of Writing While Black. I am Angela, your hostess today. We're joined by our co-hostess, Ayoka B. And today we have a special guest with us, Sister Ajali, also known as the Radical Sister, author of This Black Nation, and Furnace of Affliction.
That's the one.
Yay! So we're very, very excited to be here. And we're very excited that you're here. And let's jump in and get started. So we can volley back and forth, but the first question one question I like to ask is, when did you decide to start writing? Have you always felt like I'm a writer, I want to write, or is it something that you decided to do later on or felt called to do later on?
This was a question that I was hoping you would ask, because this is my favorite question coming from you, sister, specifically because you're a writer. I know Sister Ayoka is a writer, your husband's a writer, and you guys seem to have so much fun doing it.
Oh, do you have fun doing it?
No. I do it because I'm really good at it. I have a natural talent. But at the same time, I do it simply because of my advocacy, because of Fukushima awareness, trying to make it as approachable a subject and as broad-based demographic I reach as possible. Mm-hmm. So I'm just utilizing all the gifts that God gave me. And even if it's work, even if it causes me agony, I'm gonna do it. Mm-hmm. And sometimes every now and then I wind up enjoying the heck out of myself, because there's so few stories written about us that positively showcase who we actually are. And then we get to win, or the lesson is to promote our healing. There's so few stories out there that at this point in time, I can't stand really, seeing anything but positive stories about us. And so that means I spend a lot of time just watching documentaries and stuff like that.
They're out there. They're out there. The stories are out there, but they're indie. Most of them are indie.
Exactly.
But they're out there. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm glad, because I think that I'm not the only one who's I think even without Fukushima, I would have just been so fed up that I would have said, I need to write the stories I want to see, rather than like, I can't produce a movie, but at least I can write.
Write a story, right. A story has a low entry point. I empathize with you. I don't know that I have fun writing most of the time. I was reading for the Black Writers Group, we used to do for the Writer of the Week, like little interview questions. And one of the interview questions is something like, is writing a joy for you, a torture, neither or both? And I was like, yeah, I think a lot of times I feel like I'm writing because I feel responsible to write, like to tell the stories, but I don't know if the process is a joy for me. Sometimes it feels like a torture.
Yeah.
I understand.
I'm glad, because I wind up, I need to learn from you. I need to learn from other writers. And it takes up so much time writing that I wind up not having any extra leisure. But I need to learn, because I came to this process so late. And even though I've always been a good writer, and I'm definitely a reader, at the same time, I just never honed the skill of reaching an audience, because people don't realize it's not as simple as just splattering whatever the hell you want on the page. It's, you got to be thinking not just of yourself, but of your reader and what they're seeing through your words. So I need to learn.
I think we're all in the process of learning, and that's kind of like the support, kind of trying to figure out how to get better. I think it was Octavia Butler or somebody. I always look for quotes from Black writers, but they're like, basically we write and that's how we get better. We write, we fine tune, we write some more, we fine tune, we learn from other people, we write some more. Like, we got to be in the process to improve. So you said that you're a reader. What are you reading these days? What genre do you like to read?
Oh my goodness, right now, because of my advocacy, I only read radiation books. That's the only, because I'm so far behind the curve in learning about the whole fissioning process, the history and the science, that's the only thing that I feel like I have time for right now. And it's unfortunate because when I was younger, I just used to take the whole summer and I would read books after books after books, just back to back to back. So right now I feel bad that I just know I have so much to learn about what I'm trying to share with people that I haven't read any fiction whatsoever. I haven't even read Brother Yappo's book all the way through. I made it halfway through. And then I was just like, oh my God, I need to get to the next, Rosalie Bertell book, who was a nuclear physicist. And then I started writing my book. So it's the time factor and coming to this so late that winds up making me feel like I gotta do this before I hit 70.
Right, right. It's definitely the time factor. When Ayoka was saying there are people out there, I think that's some of the challenge for us as independent authors. Time, there, like you put the book out there, and then the time to write, the time to let people know you're out there, the time to do research, the time to be a wife, the time to take care of your children. Like
clean your house every now and then.
Every now and then, it feels like it's a lot to, kind of manage. Figuring all of that out is a lot. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself, Sister Ajali? And is there anything in your personal story, like is there any time when you've tripped over yourself and found yourself in something new that might be surprising or that might be unexpected?
Oh God, I'm sorry that it all links back to the radiation, but yeah, when Fukushima blew up, that introduced me to a whole nother side of myself. And also meeting my husband, my king, Dr. Shi, that was like such a transformational. I was already on a journey. I've always loved truth. I don't want to be lied to, even if it's painful and it's difficult to accept it. Give me the truth. And so that always puts you right on that path. And then when you get slammed with the reality, you got to step up to the challenge. Or you lose a little bit. And no, I've never lost respect for myself because I always try to step up to the challenge.
So how did you encounter information about Fukushima? I remember talking to a student in Japan, and she was talking about how devastating that earthquake was, and how, I think it was an earthquake, and how difficult it was for her to, she like really dealt with a lot of anxiety as a result of that earthquake, being a Japanese person. But I'm curious about how you found out about Fukushima, how that became so much a part of who you are in your work, in your life.
Yeah, it's more like before Fukushima, I've always loved science. And I had thought about becoming a biologist at one point in time. I didn't, but that's okay. I just was more an artist than a science-oriented person. So when Fukushima popped off, I already had an understanding of radiation, so that the media stories about it, I knew they were a lie straight out the bat. And so that propelled me to just do that research until I found out all the stuff that I didn't even know existed in terms of its impact. And after that, seeing how it's such a just neglect on our part, the reality of man-made radiation, and it's being used as a genocidal weapon against us specifically. And so me being a big mouth, which is one of the wonderful things I love about Black us, we tend to have really big mouths, is I couldn't. I wouldn't be able to look myself in the mirror and not do my utmost best to warn us. And, through the different cures and remedies and tools I found, I'm like, okay, you could write, whether you do want to or don't, you got to put it somewhere so it's there for us. And so that's basically, it was like just a whole confluence of beneficial factors and not just one particular thing.
So it sounds like that leads me to think about the book, The Furnace of Affliction, which is nonfiction, right?
Right.
And so that book, can you talk a little bit about what that book is, and what, you know, what the intention is behind that book?
It was to just document all of the remedies that I found. And starting out, I had to put the facts in about why this is a global impacting, globalcidal event. And so I wanted to give the remedies, but I also knew at the outset, like the first start, I wish, you ever wish you could go back and rewrite a whole book because you would do it differently?
I haven't written a book yet. I haven't put a book out there yet, so I don't know about that.
Okay, well, the beginning of it, I wish I could rewrite it so it wouldn't be so obnoxious. But I wind up being so passionate about what I do that I'll put that into my writing. So later on, I looked at it, I was like, oh, you sound so ridiculous. But in the book are the remedies, and those are just, they're proven. And that, to me, that's the science of it. It requires more than just my personality. It requires that whatever I put down, any independent person can research it and fact find for themselves. But with the Furnace of Affliction, I just wanted to put everything in a convenient, easy to find location, because it literally took me 10 years to find all of those remedies. And to find, you know, because certain things people were recommending zeolite. With the zeolite, I found out that it has a structure, a molecular structure that's very similar to asbestos. Yes. And so people were recommending ingesting it in order to deal with particle radiation, but nobody was mentioning the fact that the structure of it actually will wind up getting embedded in your flesh in a way that's not really good. And so because I've been doing nonstop, compulsive, just researching on this, there's information like that in the remedies where I could let people know, no, you should not be taking the zeolite advice. There's other, like, was it EDT, I do believe it is a far better solution. And also there's many different things. There's so many that I haven't thought of them in a while, so they're not coming straight to my head, but they're in the book.
But I was just going to say they're in the book.
Yeah, exactly.
So the name of the book is the full title, Furnace of Affliction. Is there a subtitle? This is about radiation cures, right?
Yes, I have the book right behind my screen. Hold on.
Okay. Get this black in this black nation too while you're there.
They're right here too.
Okay.
Bring them all.
These are my copies, so they're a little on the dog-eared side. But
oh wow, yeah, your Furnace of Affliction looks like you use it as
large.
A reference all the time.
I do. So Furnace of Affliction, healing radiation damage to the human body, HUE. Because it's for us specifically, because what winds up happening, they keep portraying us who are just pro what we were made to be as if we're aggressively violent, we're extremists. And no, it's simply, we have a different physiology. So there are medical applications that don't suit us whatsoever. So the book is written to suit us.
All right.
And this is the first one. And you know, your wonderful husband did all my covers. And so this black, which is how a boy tripped over his feet and accidentally saved his people. And then
I love that subtitle.
Black Nation, which I don't think it has a subtitle. Nope, it's just it. It's just This Black Nation.
And This Black Nation is the follow-up to This Black.
Exactly.
Okay. So This Black and This Black Nation are fiction. or historical fiction or
historical type. They have truth in
it's not
there.
a novel. I'm a historian. And Furnace of Affliction is nonfiction.
Nonfiction, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So your first book was This Black, and then you did
Mhm.
Furnace of Affliction, and then This Black Nation.
Yes. And I'm
Okay.
working on another novel right now.
Okay.
And
Okay.
what's that title? Or it
Well, I don't
doesn't
want
have
to
a
tell
title
you the
yet?
title yet.
Okay.
It has
Okay.
a title. The title, I love
Okay.
it. The title is everything. Like, wow. You gotta figure them titles out.
Okay.
And
So is it?
go
I'm
ahead,
sorry.
Ayoka.
No,
Go ahead.
the one you're working on now, is it a
Mhm.
continuation of the series with this one?
No, it's a whole
Or
different
it's brand
thing.
new. Okay.
Yes, and actually, Sister Angela, I could thank you because you're an inspiration in terms of it's specifically surrounding Black love. It's a romance.
Oh, I
Okay.
love a Black love. I love Black love. Okay,
And I think about you often because Iapo has said that you're so good at dialogue.
Oh, really? I don't know. I
Yes.
mean, yeah, he says that. But I think about you all the time because I say Black us and I use Black us all the time. And you're the first person I ever heard with that expression. So I
That's
say it
nice.
all the time and I think of you and send you love every time I use that expression. It's so fitting to me. It's like Black us.
Right,
So.
exactly. And that's the way that I meant it. So that's a
Okay.
wonderful thing. Yeah, yeah. No, people could forget about me. As long as it's Black us, I'm good. But yeah, that's what I'm attempting with the latest one is just to make it as grounded and realistic as to who we are. And the language it conveys so much of that. So I can be a little bit too, oh, how could I say, like proper?
Don't say that.
Oh,
You just talk how you talk. You just talk how you talk.
Ah, thank you very much. I appreciate that.
I'm gonna see because I have like your language. Like for me, I find like okay, so I experienced This Black is like a philosophy. Like it was kind of a novel. It was kind of philosophical. It was kind of like a lot going on, but a lot of the language is very like I have so many things highlighted that I'm like, okay, that's interesting. That's interesting. That's interesting. And it seems like very fitting to your personality. Like the way that you like you to me, the way you are kind of showed up, at least for me in This Black, or it felt like Sister Ajali to me. So
I thought it was interesting, and I can't remember the term for it, but in terms of the perspective, how you kind of, I don't know how to explain it. So, it's the novel and it's from first person, but sometimes you kind of come out of perspective, like as the author,
Yeah.
remembering and writing this. So
Mhm.
I thought that was interesting. I don't know that I've seen that often. So I thought that was interesting. I've seen it in movies, like
Right.
in a treatment of a movie, but I don't know that I've seen it, at least not in anything that I've read. So I thought that was interesting. I liked it. I liked it. It was.
Oh, that's good. I'm glad because it's wonderful to talk to people who actually like read some of the book because I'm the writer and the reader in my family. And so I would never, and I actually don't mind doing that. I would never like force my family, you've got to read what I write. Because I think,
this.
yeah, that's kind of like you're going to take this medicine no matter what. So I appreciate talking with you so that I can, okay, because I was with that, even though it's a difficult thing to do, I still was having so much fun doing it. And especially once it's over, it's great. So there's a portion of the torture that you wind up enjoying. Like I run regularly. I can't right now because I broke my toe. But at the same time, after years of doing it, I fell in love with it. even though I wake up and each time I go for a run, I'm like, oh my God, do I have to do this again? But still, once I get into it, I'm just like flying. I love it so much. So I'm hoping, I haven't gotten fully that way with the writing, but I'm hoping I do, because there are things about it that are wonderful.
So,
and yeah,
so
go ahead.
I'm curious. No, I'm curious about this one you're working on. So what made you shift? Was it just to challenge yourself? I know you said you wanted to show Black love, but
Yeah.
and
Well, it was, I don't know what the heck it was that got me just, I love romance, and I love us, and there's just not enough. I'm sorry, I have to say I'm not satisfied with Tyler Perry. And so
we could do a whole episode or maybe a series of episodes on that brother right there. But okay. No, he is not, you're not alone in that. Like he's not I don't even know the example that a lot of people find problematic. But anyway, go ahead.
But anyway, yeah, so that was it, is that I want to read, even if I have to create it myself, I want to read myself. I want to, about us and the stories I've seen in life, like you, Sister Angela, you and Yapo, that wedding that you even put up on his channel. It was, you could have just filmed the whole thing for like 15 hours or something, and I would have just watched it, because that's who I know about us. I'm not saying we don't have problems. I'm not saying there aren't dysfunctional Black people out there, but that's why even more so, you need to see the positivity and the hope and the encouragement, and not this constant gender war nonsense that they stack up there and highlight ad nauseum, because there are people who manage to find each other, Black men, Black women, find each other, get together, and having a wonderful daggone time.
Right. And there are a lot of authors that, like I said, a lot of them are indie, but not even just indie, that feel that call, especially romance authors that are like, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and write this because I'm not seeing what I want to see, and I want to write stories for us that show us the way we truly are. And I know that's Angela, that's why she writes romance. I wrote a romance and didn't even know I was going to write a romance.
Wow, how'd that happen?
It happened because I was writing a short story. I thought I was writing a short story. I had challenged myself because I hadn't written any fiction ever. And I said, I'm going to write, I was in my short story phase. So I was like, I'm going to write a fictional short story just to challenge myself. And the story, it wasn't finished. So the story needed to be told. So I just kept telling it. But I'm the same way. No matter, I'm a poet first. I put out the poetry books after the novel, but I write Black joy and Black love. That's what I write. That's all you're going to see. Like you said, everybody has issues and problems and dysfunction or whatever. That's anybody. However, my stories are not going to center on that.
Exactly.
So I think that's the difference. And I feel like that's what I'm hearing from you. We gonna feel good when we reading this.
Exactly.
Feel good after we finish.
Exactly. Because it just, what is polite society? There's certain things that, yeah, sure, behind the scenes in the bathroom, you be all up, digging up your nose and doing all sorts of stuff. But when you get in front of people, you don't do that. It's not meant to be a bestial free fest where everything is exposed. Certain things are meant to be private. Certain things are meant to be public. So if you're going to encourage the next generation and give them guidelines on appropriate behavior, and also just behavior that can lead to something outstanding, which is a fulfilled life, then why wouldn't you want to do that? Why is everything got to be like, oh, now we all going to pick our nose in public? And there's no grown-ups around to say, what? Don't do that. No, you don't. So as a attacked at just pivoted for attack people, we really have to work even harder to shout out the negativity that is reinforced on us, because they've gotten it to the point where they're trying to swear that sexy red. That sexy red is the example of all Black women. And
I don't even know who that is. So
oh, you are so
I'm glad.
wonderful. You don't want to know. You don't want. It's just vile people that they're putting up there. And I'm like, no, if we do not defend civility, if we don't defend civilization, what it means, which is not a fancy building, it's how to get along with people. And so you have to put guidelines on behavior so that people know, no, I'm not the only person on the planet. I'm supposed to be polite and here for my fellow beings to make a better reality for our children. It's just that simple. That's why for me, yes, you do. I know some things are sad stories and they need to be highlighted as a lesson. But at the same time, I'm with you where it's like positivity. Please give us something to feel like this is why I'm fighting, is because I know there's goodness.
Right. And it's not even like I set out and said, I'm going to write a positive story.
Right.
It's just, I wrote what I know and I wrote who I am, and it's, and I think some people, I'm guessing, I have no idea, but some of the books that I see out there, even by indie authors, and actually I'm going to say, especially I've seen it from indie authors, it's like they fall into a trap about what they think. I don't know. I'm guessing what they think is going to sell or what they think people want to read. And I'm like, listen, some people, when they read, especially when you read fiction, you want to escape all of that chaos and drama of everyday life. You know what I mean? I don't, and listen, I know what it takes to write a book, and I promise I don't slight anybody. I'm just saying, how many books do we need about the drug dealer with a heart of gold that I fell in love with? I'm just saying, I'm just putting it out there because I know that I grew up with some, okay? But that's not everybody. There's some people who don't know anybody like that, so we are multifaceted. We don't need a bunch of books like that. You can, if books were written to represent the totality of us, you would never have a duplicate book. You would never have a duplicate topic or theme or whatever. So I'm just saying, I want people to stretch a little bit. I want them to be unafraid. And I know some of that is being vulnerable, which some people aren't willing to do, but be unafraid and tap into what you really want to write, what you really want to see, and I think if people do that, then we would have less of that and we would have more realistic images and stories of who we are.
I think what winds up being an issue, and I found that also because everything I do is sutured to my advocacy, and that is all under the roof of my pro-Blackness, is the fear of not making money. And that I think we as a people, haven't given ourselves permission to say, just loving what the Creator made me to be doesn't mean that I want to go out and hurt anybody. And it's good to see, reflections of our people that are positive. And so I think with a lot of folks, they're afraid to really go there because they're like, well, how am I going to pay the rent? How am I going to,
Right.
get insurance?
I can't, that's real. The
That's
financial
real.
piece is real. We can't deny that. But I
Mhm.
think it's also, I'm not going to minimize that at all, but I think part of it is also your mindset, shifting your mindset, because if you are living from a place of scarcity and your thoughts are about not having enough and protecting what you have, and I can't help you because then I won't have, versus abundance, then we get into that. And that ties into, I feel like, what our true selves are. We are a communal people, but that has been lost over time. I think people are tapping back into that, but it's has to be relearned. But I think that communal spirit and that idea of community of Black people, that's when you get back to thinking in abundance. Everybody can eat.
Right.
And I think
right.
that whole conversation about abundance and your finding your voice and telling your individual story, I think they're kind of like connected. Like there are so many different ways for us to be who we are because each of us has a way of being who we are.
Right.
We don't have to conform to this idea in order to fit in to succeed in this BS system. But that's a whole nother thing. I
But
want to
I
read.
know, I think that's wonderful because I just want to say, what's our definition of abundance? They've narrowed it so that it's just stuff. It's just things.
It's just money, right?
Yes.
But that's not abundance.
Right.
Exactly.
It's not.
That's
Exactly.
not the definition of abundance. Technically, that isn't what abundance means. And that's what I mean. That would fall under scarcity. Because
Right.
like I need to get all of this stuff so I can be better. And this is about me, me, me. That is scarcity. That's not abundance.
I have one of the things I just want to read one of the things I highlighted, but it's not really going to capture it, but I highlight, but this is a relatively short one. This is the main character speaking. He said, I dropped my own smile, though it threatened any minute to bust loose and run wild over my barely in charge stoic expression. Holding this expression was much more difficult than it had been acting like a bully. I thought that like that line, like the character, like his age, his personality, like it was just like I just love the way you captured that moment in the character. Yeah. And then the other thing is there are so many, but this one is right next to it. No deity would have the emptiness to knowingly harm a soul. I just thought that was so beautiful. No deity would have the emptiness to knowingly harm a soul. I thought that was beautiful.
Thank
It sounds
you.
like poetry.
Yes, so much like, and I think that the way you express yourself is very poetic, but I thought your use of language and your use of language and your love of language, I could see it in how you describe the family, but in, like it's you, like you like language, you're creative,
I do with the book I'm writing, I am like not dumbing it down, but making so that I can make it into an audiobook and people don't have to run to the dictionary to, figure out what I'm saying. And it's just immediate. And I'm using the characters' personalities to convey the language, but on a physical level. Whereas it's still all me, but at the same time, I'm like, okay, I need to get this out to as many people as possible, not just so I can make money, but also because it's Black love, but it's Black love during the apocalypse. And so that involves nuclear bombs and fallout and what you do and how you survive in the US Army and spies. And yes, it's a novel. So
it's like action romance.
It's action romance without a doubt.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this question, because just like we're talking about the book, Ayoka's like, what's the title? I want to read it. Sometimes we want to, as soon as it's published, we want to know that it's been published. Do you have a newsletter? I think some of your your things are definitely available on Amazon because I downloaded. Look, my book is back here, but I downloaded the Kindle to my Kindle because you know. But I also know that you have a website. Do you have a newsletter, or are there ways for people to stay in touch with you?
Yeah, that's a smart thing to do. But when it comes to technology, I'm so behind the times with that. And Dr. He handles the tech and the online services. So he said to me this morning, he's like, you should start writing a blog on the website, and which is 25,000yearcycle.org.
The number 2500.
25000.
Oh, 000.
And then all lowercase yearcycle.org.
Okay.
And I guess when I finish this book, I'll get to doing that. But the only thing right now that I can offer is my YouTube channel, The Radical Sister, and my Instagram account, which is also The Radical Sister. Those are the places where if you're looking for me, you're going to find me on one of them. But yeah, newsletter, that would be so phenomenal, because then you email it out immediately.
Yeah, I don't know. When I was researching, it seemed like, oh, you have to have a newsletter as a writer. But as we've been talking to people, it doesn't, I don't feel like a lot of people have newsletters. So I don't know if you know, I don't know.
I don't know. See,
maybe you don't.
This is why talking with you sisters is so helpful, because there's all sorts of, I'm new to this. I don't know anything about this. Yeah. I just know what books I like.
It just what works for you. I don't do a newsletter because I don't want to read a newsletter. So I'm not going to write one to make other people. So I'm like, but some people do them. I'm just not one, but Angela's right. Quite a few people that we've talked to, I think only the last person that we interviewed had a newsletter.
And he seemed very like mainstream in his approach, which was interesting. So is on your website, is there a place to stay in touch? Okay, I'm there. So the other thing I wanted to say, I wanted to look back to when you were talking about, oh, this next book is a book of Black love. I kind of feel like the novel that I'm reading, like there's so much Black love in it. Like I don't think Black love is just like a man and a woman. I think, the relationship, the family relationships, and the couple relationships in the book, in this Black, I found to be very satisfying to my love of love. Like I felt like, there was a love of community, there was a love of self, there was a lot of love flowing around the book. So
right. That's so true.
Right. And that's been something I know for me, trying to articulate when when you write a little blurb or whatever, is that's why I don't call it a romance, because the Black love is not just about that couple. It's about the community and family and self-love, all of those types of love that sustain the love of that couple. And, so it's a broader Black love.
I think you're absolutely right. And I never really considered, but that's what the whole book is about, because the man and the woman coming together is just a seed, and the whole tree is all of us, and what effect that it echoes out to the entire community and to all our people. So that is the point of my latest, is that you've got absolute destruction and catastrophe everywhere, and it's not just the man and the woman, but the people. Like it all takes place in a school, and the students are there, the teachers are there, moms, dads, everybody is there, and they have to figure out how to survive. So the love part is critical, because I like that stuff. But at the same time, it's also about recognizing the two people there who are in that love match, their responsibility. If they're going to survive, everybody's got to survive. Yeah.
Okay, so I want to ask, because this is our thing, what does writing while Black mean to you?
Oh, life, life. It means a shout against everything that they do against us. It's my one chance to say, I was here and I'm for us. So that's what it means to me.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
In terms of as an author, have you stumbled upon anything, or do you have any strategies that you'd like to share in terms of getting the word out there that your work is here? How have you found any great ways to connect with people and let them know that you exist as an author and that your work is available?
Not quite yet. I've been in such a slew of writing and studying that I haven't done that. That's what I want to do with this latest novel, because I think it'll have, I'm a little nervous with the other two novels because not everybody is like into a more poetic form of fiction. And so I worry, I get a little shy in that regard, like putting them out there like that. But this one, I'm hoping it still is a, respectable work of fiction. I'm not writing something that's just pablum, but at the same time, it'll be like an entree, more of an entree. And then I'll need to come and talk to sisters like you. So that
When you have the
I can
title,
find out how to
or
do
when you
that.
want to share the title, oh, yeah. We're
Yeah,
still, that's why I'm asking, because we trying to figure it out. Because it's,
right.
getting the word, like writing a book is hard, but promoting it is
Right.
challenging. How do you let people
Yes.
know it's out there?
Sister
I'm just
Ajali,
figuring. Yeah, go ahead, Queen.
I wanna the poetic type of fiction. I wanna tell you to check out this brother named Caleb Azuma Nelson.
Caleb
Azuma
Zuma
Nelson.
Zuma Nelson.
He
Okay.
writes fiction. He has 2 books out.
Mm.
Just be confident in the fact that there's going to be an audience for your, I like that term, poetic fiction, because that's what he writes as far as I'm concerned. And I fell in love with his prose because it was so beautiful and flowed so well. It may not be for everyone, but that's okay. Because when you write, you find your reader. It's not for everybody. So don't be concerned about that.
Yeah, I have to honestly say I hope I can be that way, but it's because it's coupled to my radiation warning. And that's the part where I'm looking at a genocide. I'm looking at them conducting a genocide. And it just tears my heart out not being able to reach as many of our people as possible. I wish there was somebody else doing it, because then cool, I don't have to worry about this no more. But there's nobody else putting that warning out there. So that's my motivation also is it's still written with my soul all over the pages. It's just that every now and then, one of them multisyllabic words I might pop into my head, and I'm just like, okay, and make it more so that it's a clean, juxtaposition from one setting to the next, from one sequence to the next. I'm just making it more like comprehensive for a lot of people without just out and out dumbing it down. Because there's some authors who I'm not going to mention them because everybody has a right to gain and earn a living, but more popular, like where they sell millions of copies of books and their stuff gets made into movies, where when I got the book and opened it up and read it, I was like, oh my God, this has got to be one of the dumbest things I've ever read. And it just was just childish. And so I'm not trying to do that at all. I want people to fall in love with the written word. So then they get more used to it, and then they want more. because there's this rumor going around that nobody's reading books anymore. And I don't believe it.
I don't believe that for a second.
Exactly. They're just reading the wrong books. And when they find out that when you get into a book that's like a friggin' giant wedding cake and you could jump on into it, you don't ever want to leave. You just, I've never seen a movie in my life that was as good as the book. If it was a good book, I've never seen that.
I haven't either.
Yeah.
I haven't either.
So we're on the wind down now, but I want to ask you as the final word, is there anything that we should have asked you that we didn't ask you, or anything that you wanted to talk about, or anything that you want to say that you didn't get a chance to say?
I just want to say I enjoyed the heck out of myself up here. And every time that I watch your, I don't watch podcasts, I watch it on YouTube just because that's where I am. Immediately, I am inspired to get up and start writing. That is so powerful, so inspiring. And you sisters are so brilliant. You're intelligent. You're honest. You're just down to earth. And that's that couple intelligence with approachability. That is so potent a force. So I thank you. I thank you both for being real, you know, when in an era where everybody just too damn fake. So every time I hear you speak, Sister Angela, I am just, even when you were do things with Brother Iapo, I was like, whoa. So yeah, that's what I wanted to share.
But like recognize like, because I could say the same thing about you. So it's a mutual admiration society going. I'm glad we got a chance to spend this kind of time together. Read This Black, read Furnace of Affliction, read This Black Nation. Thank you so much for being with us today and being a guest on Writing While Black. Another episode. Check out the back episodes and check out the forward episodes. A new episode, at least one out every Wednesday on Spotify and YouTube.